So we recently traveled with two of our dogs, Cross and Mishka, to celebrate Cross's 14th birthday. More on that trip in a later video, but today we are going to talk about the 10 things we considered in planning a perfect trip. One of the first things we considered was if our dogs could travel long distance. Both Cross and Mishka are great with cars. In fact, in our time together, we have had a few rides which have lasted anywhere between 2 and 3 hours without any issue. Car sickness is a serious issue to consider, and Cross, being a senior dog, was something we had to think about seriously as well. But we made sure to get a go-ahead from our veterinarian before committing to this trip. We chose to travel by car instead of by train, mostly because we wanted the trip to be as comfortable as possible for Cross. And even if we did travel by train, we would have needed a car from the railway station to reach our planned destination anyway. We booked a car from a local taxi stand a few weeks from departure, and they were comfortable with dogs coming along as passengers only when muzzled. We refused that condition though. We explained to them that Cross and Mishka are well trained, that they wouldn't bother the driver or damage the car in any way. We wanted our dogs to be free and have fun. And thankfully, the good people from the local taxi stand allowed us to have our way. But what about the car? Well, we asked for an Innova or any other SUV of a similar size for two reasons. Our first reason was that we wanted a car large enough for Cross to be able to lie down. He's arthritic, so he can't really stand up or sit for too long. Our second reason was that we wanted a car in which the back seats could be folded entirely to clear the base for Cross. Also, such cars tend to have well-placed vents for better air conditioning overall. Always remember that there are dog-friendly resorts and hotels and dog resorts and hotels. Now, they might sound similar, but dog-friendly accommodations come with some restrictions. It could be limited access to places or rooms, outdoor spaces, and more. At the end of the day, they are human accommodations that are dog-friendly. Regardless of the type of accommodations you choose, do make sure to go through their rules, terms, and conditions. Look for reviews from other pet parents as well. We chose a dog story in Ricoli, Mussoorie, a human-friendly dog resort. Interestingly, you can't make a reservation here without having a dog, and even the bookings are made in their names. In our opinion, the place is actually quite perfect for dogs. But the same logic applies here as well. Do your research. For example, the rooms in a dog story in Mussoorie don't have air conditioning. But we made sure to check the weather forecast before confirming the booking. And we talked to the team as well to understand if there could be any arrangement made for a pedestal fan in case we needed one for Cross. We would strongly recommend a confirmed advanced booking regardless of where you choose to stay. Better safe than sorry. Before we move on to the next point, a small clarification. This was not a sponsored trip. Everything was out of pocket. This is going to vary from person to person, dog to dog. Some of these items may not be relevant to your situation, but a lot of them could become a part of your packing checklist. As is the case with any trip including a dog, a water bowl is a must. Now, our resort was going to provide food and water bowls for both Mishka and Cross, so we avoided packing any extra bowls on our end. But if your dog is particular about eating in their personal bowls, food or water bowl, then we recommend packing them as well. We also carry these lightweight dog beds and bed sheets, as clean as a car can be. We wanted to take zero chances with hygiene. Also, having these beds and bed sheets ensured that Cross had a safe, smooth and comfortable journey with us. We also carried our grooming kit, which included pet wipes, some spare towels, a slicker brush and a comb. We also carried dog shampoo on the off chance Cross and Mishka got a bit too carried away in the hills and came back to us all muddy. Also, we didn't want to be in a situation where we were stopping them from having fun. And we also carried an extra set of leashes and collars for the same reason. Trips can be an incredible experience for dogs. It's bound to energize and excite them. But at the same time, dogs also happen to be creatures of habit. They love what is familiar to them, their routine and eating habits. At home, we serve home-cooked meals to our dogs in the morning for their breakfast and dog food at night. For that reason, we also used to order home-cooked meals at the resort for Cross and Mishka, and we also packed some dog food, their share of dog food, in an airtight container for their dinners. We also packed Cross's supplements for arthritis as well. Newspapers and a bottle of tap water come in next. We actually strongly believe in cleaning up after our dogs regardless of the location, and the newspapers and tap water come in handy with the pee and poop. Lastly, and this is an obvious item to pack, drinking water. Make sure to have enough to stay hydrated throughout the journey, and some treats for your dog as well. Everything we have talked about so far covers the planning phase, but with that out of the way, here's everything we considered en route from Delhi to Mussoorie and back. You know your dog's habits best, so make regular stops to have them stretch their legs and relieve themselves. If you've booked a taxi, make sure your dog stays away from the front seats and the driver when driving. Even when well trained, make sure your dog is always on leash when you're out of the vehicle in any public space, because safety comes first. When on road, opt for lighter meals. Also avoid giving your dog anything new because you never know how they might react to it. We gave our kids curd during our breakfast halt at a highway dhaba and they loved it. As is the case with any new experience, make sure to regularly check your dog for any signs of discomfort. Even when used to long trips, it isn't unusual for a dog to maybe feel claustrophobic or even distressed by the changing scenery. Taking a nice break for some walks every now and then made sure that our dogs stayed excited all the way through. And if you're enjoying this video, then a sub to this channel would be fantastic. So you're perfectly packed and you've had an amazing journey so far. But we had the most fun when at the resort. We got to watch Cross act 10 years younger, running about excitedly. Mishka and I even did a small trek together. But to avoid any unpleasant experiences, be responsible. Know the rules of your property or accommodation to avoid any unnecessary tension between you, your dog, the other guests, and even the staff. A dog story had a dedicated large space for dogs to relieve themselves, but despite being a dog resort, they had a strict no pee and poo rule everywhere else. And we can understand that because the resort was absolutely clean and gorgeous, and as guests, we should want to keep it that way as well. We have mentioned this before and in a number of our older videos as well, but dogs are creatures of habit. They are far more disciplined than humans when it comes to their routine. So despite being on vacation, make sure to feed them on time, take them out for their walks, their exercise sessions, to keep them comfortable and sorted throughout their vacation. Of course, Cross and Mishka went mental with excitement because of all the new experiences. They almost spent all of their time outside at the resort, much more than their usual routine at home. And there you have it, the 10 things we considered and implemented to make sure we had an amazing vacation with our dogs. Oh, before I forget though, did you know that we actually dewormed and treated our dogs for ectoparasites such as ticks and fleas? Also, because of Cross's long, floppy and hairy ears, we made sure to keep an eye on keeping his ears clean. If you want to know why this is important, you're in luck, because we have dedicated videos talking about both topics, here and here. This is a Paw 5. See you next time.